I have to tell you a little story. A few weeks ago, I went to a seminar at the University of Tulsa. It was through the business school there, and we did this exercise where we got paired up with one other person, somebody who we didn't know, and the assignment was to introduce ourselves. So the nice young lady that I got paired up with, she decided to go first. And I thought that sounded nice. She went on to tell me that she's a divorced mother who works as a dealer in a local casino. She talked about how much she liked the casino business. And I could just tell by the way this introduction was unfolding that she was going to be very surprised when she found out that I was a minister. Sure enough, when it was time to switch places and I told her that I was a man of the cloth, she blushed a little bit and looked kind of embarrassed. So I quickly explained to her that All Souls is a very progressive and open-minded church. To make sure that she understood, I explained that we're the kind of church that just leave your cell phone on, answer it in a... No, I explained to her, seriously, that we're the kind of church where people may want to go to the casino on Saturday night. They maybe have a drink, maybe even smoke a cigarette, and can come on Sunday morning and not be made to feel ashamed or hypocritical. I said it's a church where people can come and raise their children with a basic understanding of the Bible, as well as learning about other world religions, and where they can get a religious and a moral and an ethical foundation without the guilt and the shame and the judgment that are often associated with so many churches. I said we're a friendly, fun-loving group, and people who care about making a difference in the world and giving back to their community. She said that All Souls sounded like the kind of church that she would feel comfortable in, and said that she'd been looking for a church for herself and her daughter. In fact, she was so enthusiastic that when the entire group came back together and she voluntarily raised her hand and announced to everybody there about what transpired between us and that she was excited to find a church for her family. Now, we say every week that love is the spirit of this church. We say we're the friendliest. We say we're the most radically inclusive. But we can be just as judgmental and hypocritical as anyone if we're not careful. So what does the spirit of love and inclusion require of us? Anyone can hang a shingle out in front of their church or their shop that makes a bodacious claim. As a matter of fact, on my way into church this morning, I went through Brookside and I saw out in front of a restaurant, it said, "The best pulled pork in Tulsa." I thought, really? Who says it's the best pulled pork in Tulsa? And I figured it was the owner of the restaurant that put that out on the sign out in front. I don't know how reliable it is when the own proprietor of a place puts out, their own publicity. Anyway, anybody can make a big claim about their own pulled pork or about their own church. So today I want to ask, what does the spirit of radical love and inclusion require of us? I want to start with a true story that is told by Stephen Covey, the author, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He says, "I remember one Sunday morning on a subway in New York City. People were sitting quietly, some were reading newspapers, some lost in thought, some resting with their eyes closed. It was calm. It was a calm and peaceful scene. Then suddenly a man and his children entered the subway car. The children were so loud and rambunctious that instantly the whole climate changed. The man sat down next to me and closed his eyes, apparently oblivious to the situation. The children were yelling back and forth, throwing things and grabbing people's papers. It was very disturbing. And yet, the man sitting next to me did nothing. It was difficult not to feel irritated. I could not believe that he could be so insensitive and let his children run wild like that and do nothing about it and take no responsibility for it. It was easy to see that everyone else on the subway were irritated too. So finally, with what I felt was an unusual patience and restraint, I turned to him and said, "Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. And I wonder if you couldn't control them a little more." And the man lifted his gaze as if to come to the consciousness of the situation for the first time. And he said softly, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago. I don't know what to think. And I guess they don't know how to handle it either." It's so easy to draw common conclusions and to become justified in our judgmentalism. It's like taking a well-worn path. It's easy to see, it's simple to follow, it's been traveled many times before. But in this church, we're called to blaze a new trail, a trail of radical love and acceptance. We're called to depart from the well-worn path of judgmentalism and common conclusions to the courageous path of loving inclusions. Now that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It almost rhymes, too. I was feeling pretty good about that. But how do we make it become more than a fancy slogan and an empty promise? How do we take such words and give them flesh and bones to walk the earth? In the Bible, in the book of John, it says, "The Word became flesh and dwelt among us." It's a description of incarnation. Incarnate, or in the flesh. It's the idea that that which is spirit became embodied and walked the earth. That which is spirit became embodied and walked the earth. Now, of course, people will be debating till the end of time what this means in reference to Jesus 2,000 years ago. But I'm not interested in that particular dimension or discussion this morning. I want to talk about to what extent are you and I called to take our words and make them flesh. What does it mean to us on a human level to bring about the wonder of incarnation? What I'm interested in is, what risks are you willing to take to allow a supreme ideal such as radical love and acceptance to reside right here on earth, in Tulsa, in history, in life, in your life, and in mine? And moreover, what does it look like to clothe such a supreme ideal in our earthly imperfection? It's been said that the longest journey we will ever take is from the head to the heart. We can think and say all kinds of wonderful things about love and inclusion and freedom and justice, but if they remain only words or ideas, we are no more than a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. These ideas have to go beyond the head and the lips, where they're merely intangible concepts, and take the lengthy journey to enter the imperfect clay of our hearts, where they can take form through our actions and our bodies and our days.